So very smart enough. Sir, actually, for us, anybody from West or North, we will call it as North India. Similarly, you will call a Hyderabadi or a Bangalorean as Madrasi. So, no, I mean, we are all from India. These are common characteristics. Okay. See, you would have seen in the midst of Mr. Ravi's discussion, some cameras coming and going and capturing all of you. So, Tandi TV has covered the program, and from today evening from 6 p.m. it will be continuously coming in the news. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock news. It will come for a minute or two. Mr. B. Ravi has come out and he has spoken in Tamil for a few minutes, which will also be covered, and you may all see your faces in the news program, which you may see. See, food, due to the crowd, we have organized in two places. One in the place where registration counter is there, and another in the first floor. So please divide amongst yourselves so that, I mean, simultaneously all of us can eat. Otherwise, we need to 70-80 people has to eat once, and another batch has to go. Enough food has been there, so you can have either in the place where you did your registration, or kindly go to the first floor, and our volunteers will guide you. And see, due to the extra crowd, we have organized a recording of the entire program, which is live telecast in the adjacent hall, where about 30-40 people are already sitting, and the entire program is recorded. We will get the speaker's consent, and then we will see whether it can be webcast or whatever way it's possible. So we request all of you. No, we will see, sir. We will see. I mean, we have to, because it's the copyright of the speakers, because they come out with so many thoughts, and they may think before saying okay. Okay, but we'll try our best. We'll speak to the speakers, and the speaker's decision will be final. Okay. We request all of you to be available throughout the session, and we assure you that we will wind up certainly before 4 or 4:30. So please be present throughout the session, because there is a vested interest in it, because I am speaking in the last session. Thank you. But just we had a very thought-provoking session, and we had an interesting experience sharing from one of the members, Mrs. Usha, and Mr. K. Ramesh specifically requested that let her share her experience among the participants. So she'll speak for 2 or 3 minutes, and by the time Mr. Srikanth will be here.
Giving me this opportunity. I just was having small interaction with Mr. Sriram. What I wanted to say was that basically, apart from being a practice, I've stayed abroad only, and I've been working in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I'm running business. And what I wanted to share was that what he is saying is true. My experience in doing the business is that most of the time we are running a family business. We are raising finances through our totally personal efforts. And most of the time here, I am facing major problem is that banks will give you like, I need margin of 1-on-1 or 200% to raise a finance. Whereas I'm able to raise probably, if I give a margin of 30% or a property, I give, say, for example, 1 million or 100,000, I'm able to raise 3 to 6 times depending on my this thing. So there's no point if I'm taking a loan from the bank, automatically audit requirements are made mandatory by the banks, and that is taken care of. If I am raising my own finance, it doesn't make sense to have an audit. So as well as I'm investing own money, why should I get it audit? And same goes I've been working in Singapore for almost 9 years as a company secretary. And you know, in 2005, they changed the company law in line with what we are now trying to bring it out, XBRL and one-man company and all those things. You know, they did away with the auditing requirements for a lot of class of companies, and they said audit compliance is not required so long as the directors certify that they are maintaining the books of records in accordance with the certain laid standards, and they lay down certain accounting standards. It was like a self-governance. So, and audit was made mandatory or voluntary requirement based upon the companies, or they cross a certain level. So I think it's more of a self-regulation which is more important to, if you really want to, you know, make India more commercially viable and doing a place of business, lot of people, we are returning back to India, they would like to do business. You have to make it more business friendly. Automatically our economy will be taken care of. We don't need to rely on dollar yo-yo and all those things, you know. We just have to make it more business friendly, more self-regulatory and less complicated rules. I think it would be a lot more better, and I don't see more rules-based rather than self-governing. I think we as a professional should be striving in that direction. That's all I wanted to add. It's totally my personal experience which I was sharing, and he just wanted me to add on to that. And that's all.
We have the star speaker amongst us, Mr. Srikanth here. I mean, the session after lunch is always difficult for the speaker and more so for the listeners as well. But we can't have a better speaker than Mr. Srikanth amongst us. I have had the opportunity of hearing many times before in the past, and we are very happy to have you amongst us, sir. Just on the profile of Mr. Srikanth, he is a rank holder in all the professional exams that he has written, both CA, ICAA and ACS. His father was a chartered accountant, and he has taken the practice to greater heights now. He is an excellent motivator, encourages students and members always. Handles all the subjects in the professional courses with consummate ease. He inaugurated this year's first meeting of Chennai West Study Circle after the new core committee took charge with his golden hands, and the growth is for all to see. This is a trademark, this is his trademark, and has happened in many other places as well. God-fearing, humble and simple person. Has been the same person for the past 15 years physically, and the way he moves with fellow professionals. Only the knowledge has grown exponentially. And he is going to talk to us on audit and accounts. And who better can do that than Srikanth? We welcome you, sir, to this study circle. Over to you now.
Organizers of the Chennai West Study Circle of the SARC of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So I don't know them personally by name, so I'm not naming anyone. Though, of course, I know Mr. Damodaran, who is my good friend, and Alur Ganesh, who is a very good associate. Others I don't know by name. Mr. Rangarajan, of course, is the president. Others I do not know by name, but everybody, I'd like to congratulate you for bringing so many people, that too for a post-lunch session, which is something really fantastic. Regarding my profile, as I was reading, I could not help but notice two things. One, he said, I was the first speaker at Annanagar West Study Circle, and definitely the audience here is so tremendous that it is a real achievement on the part of the Annanagar West Study Circle. I think we should give ourselves a very big hand for this great achievement. But that I was thinking why it is happening. As he said, I am a God-fearing man and also a firm believer in Hinduism. So I believe in astrology. Basically my Rasi is Meena Rasi. So for Meena Rasi, if you associate, you will grow. Meena Rasi will not grow, but the associate will grow. Okay. Those who associate with Meena Rasi will grow. That is the quality of the Meena Rasi people. I'm Purata, the fourth part. So what happens, it happens naturally. I've noticed it in many people who associate. Not that I'm not growing. See, God has blessed us a lot. Whatever we want, He is giving. That is enough. So, then He also said, I am very, physically I am same. I think He meant I have not reduced my weight from the beginning. ஓப்பனாகவே சொல்லியிருக்கலாம், நீங்கள் குண்டா இருந்தீங்க, குண்டாவே தான் இருக்கீங்க அப்படின்னா. அதை இன்டைரக்டாக பாலிஷ்டாக சொல்லி ரொம்ப கலாய்க்கிறாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Anyway, regarding the Companies Bill 2012, I think enough and more would have been said on the earlier parts. Let me quickly brush over it. I want to share with you some of the important highlights on accounts and audit only, because the topics have been so beautifully covered. Dr. B. Ravi in the morning would have covered directors and all that. Though there is some content here, I will skip over it. I will not waste your time. And CSR, and I'm sure would be covered by Mr. Mohan Kumar later. Okay. Panidlama, if you don't mind, I will do it. If it's okay. So this I will just skipping it quickly because there is nothing here. I will go to accounts and audit directly. Now, the corporate loans have also been covered, been extended to persons also. That is, if you are giving a loan to any individual or a firm also, that is also bought, and then we strictly cannot call it as intercorporate loan. Any loan is now covered by this. And coupled with the fact that you don't need prior approval of central government for loan to director, this is now becoming a controlling section. And the minimum rate of interest should be the prevailing rate of interest on the government securities. They are saying you should peg it against the treasury rate, which is the change. Otherwise, I don't see any major change in the intercorporate loans and investments. With your permission, shall I come forward here? It's okay. Yeah. I don't see any major changes there. Again, they are talking about two layers of subsidiaries. You cannot do investment cannot be done beyond two layers of subsidiaries through more than two layers of investment companies, because this is possibly a reaction to the Vodafone and all that, where you find that investments are made by several multiple layers of subsidiaries. So in order to prevent all that, they have introduced that you can't do more than two layers of investment. But I feel that this may not be a very good idea, because as we are doing corporate planning, as we are doing, investment planning and corporate structuring, we find that today there are three layers sometimes, because you have a holding company, then you have, see, the main goal of most entrepreneurs I have noticed is this. They have a dual goal. One goal is they want to retain the wealth in some sort of a closely held entity. Another goal they have, which is exactly diametrically opposite, is they want to enjoy the benefit of public funding. So they want to have a huge public PE funding or public issue or anything. So this means they need two layers minimum. One layer would be a holding company, then there would be, which could even be an LLP, a limited liability partnership, which would keep the wealth with the family or with the owner. The second layer would be the type of a public company that we are talking about, which would go for public issue, collect money and all that, in which the LLP also would be a shareholder. And the third layer would be a SPV, a special purpose vehicle. We can have n number of special purpose vehicles. So two layers are prescribed. But sometimes we find in this category, the third layer also comes in. But if you are structuring it this way, you may not have much problem in having a intercorporate loans and investments. And moving on. Moving to accounts and audit. Earlier, the books used to be maintained in, there was no prescription that it should not be maintained in electronic form. Today you have a statutory permission, or the statute has now said you can maintain the books in electronic form also. Does not mean that we were not maintaining it in electronic form, but for all statutory authorities and for all purpose of official governmental relationship, you need to produce the physical printout of the books. Today, thanks to the fact that they say electronic form, it can be maintained. You are now entitled to give a CD, and you can tell them that we don't have a manual set of books. You need not have a manual books. Earlier, what we used to do was we used to maintain the books electronically, and finally, when the audit is completed, we used to print out the books and bind it and keep it as a matter of record. 209 compliance was there. Now you need not do that. It is enough if you hold it in electronic form. Today, most companies also have maintained their transactions on an ERP. So already it's happening. Now this has been given. So we can directly give, Income Tax Department has already accepted that books are in electronic form. So most of the time when we go for a hearing, they do not ask you to print out. On the other hand, everybody likes tally. That is where the problem starts. When you have something other than tally, especially an ERP which is based on pay and use model, we find it very difficult to provide the CD to them. But by and large, you can now go for, you can inform the ROC. I think over a period of time, uploading also is becoming electronic. So everything will be merged, so that if you connect your tally, automatically it will pull the balance sheet and take it. Something like that should happen. Now the balance sheet and P&L account have collectively been called financial statements. They have given a single name for that, and they do. I would like to spend a little time on this. Uniform financial year for all companies. Is it possible? Is the question I want to ask all of you. Because they are now talking about a uniform financial year which will begin on 1st April and end on 31st March. Now this is where sometimes the new bill may create problems for us. As company secretaries, both in practice as well as engaged in service, you will appreciate the difficulty involved here. For example, there are companies that have a connection with an American enterprise. They may be subsidiaries of an American company. In which case, their parent company will be having a financial year which begins on July 1st and ends on June 30th. Same token, a British company may want to close its accounts on 31st December. So two disparate things. Now how do now what happens? There is going to be one financial year for account and income tax and company law, and then one more closing for the purpose of subsidiary. Earlier what we used to do, we used to have a financial year for company law closing, for consolidation, etc. We will have December. And for income tax purposes, we used to have 31st March. This is going to be a real challenge for most of us, at least for the first 2 years. when everything has to be merged. Okay, sometimes when I'm asked to talk like this to chartered accountants, company secretaries, cost accountants, they keep asking us, what is the benefit in it for us? What is the benefit in it for us? I'm unable to see any benefit here for company secretary, but there is a benefit for chartered accountants. Okay, in as much as we will be able to get double fees for closing the financial year once in December and again once in April for the purpose of Companies Act, it will be a double audit. As you can make out, it is an unnecessary expenditure. They can as well. Yeah, that is the whole idea. They want to make it uniform with the tax. So that, see, it's a laudable move. It's a laudable move, except that there are companies which may want to close the year on other years, which means your 210 is out now. That means what? Your financial year is compulsorily restricted to 12 months. If you are, earlier you could have a financial year of 15 months and or even more in case you got permission from the registrar, which you are permitted to do. So therefore you could go up to 18 months. But now it's all gone. You can't have 12 months and everybody should be uniform. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's ugly. That much I can tell you. It is a one-time exemption only. That's the whole point. In order to ensure that everybody comes into groove with the single financial year, they say you can extend it and you can bring it up. But that will be once. After that, everybody has to close. That is the whole idea of the purpose of the exercise. Yeah. Two closures. Yeah, we are already doing it for many companies. For example, right now what we are doing for some of our subsidiaries of foreign entities, what we do, we close the company law accounts for the in accordance with the parent. For example, if the parent wants it in December, we close it in December. We prepare a Schedule 6 balance sheet, revised Schedule 6 balance sheet for December. But for April, but then what happens? Again in March, we strike a balance. But that March balance sheet will be 1/4 to 31/3. It will be a disparate year. For that also, we prepare a balance sheet in the revised Schedule 6 format. But that is only meant for the income tax purposes. It is being done by us for many of our clients. That's what I said. It's a double work. Means double pay. That's good. But double work for the company secretary. For you, it will be a unnecessary work. But practicing company secretaries can enjoy. Okay. But of course, you'll have only one compliance certificate. But anyway, as you said, tax audit comes in March. I don't know. See, some of these things that the companies bill is introducing, as I see them, they need to be tested in practice. When in reality, what will be the impact of this, we have to see. But to answer the question that was raised, the exemption provided specifically in that section is only for the first year. That is why, because they know that many companies would have this problem. So better to explain this to your people and try to get it done. Financial year begins, means the period ending on the 31st of March every year. That's why I said the question of 15 months to 18 months and all gone. So subsequent years, it has to be on 31st of March. In case you are closing it on a particular day which is not 31st of March, for example, if you are closing it on December, 31st December, then what you will do, you will have a financial year which will begin on first, assuming for the time being that this bill will be enacted, will get the assent of the president and everything will be through by December. That means that the bill will become an act of parliament by January with the rules. Let us assume that. Then 1st of January, suppose you are having an audit on 31st of December, the old financial year, that can continue. But for the next year, your year will begin from 1st January and go on till 31st of March. That is the exception that they are giving. They don't mind doing that once. But thereafter, you should have 1st of April to 31st of March. This is I think it's a good idea. And on the whole, it's a good idea. But it will have a lot of repercussion in terms of double closing and something like that. That's all I'm trying to say. For most Indian companies, this should not be a problem because most of us are used to the